Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mike Armstrong Podcast show. And this morning we're joined by Davies, who's a business coach and also a big networker like myself, and also a partner in the Health Hub Academy as well. So we'll probably talk a little bit about all of those things this morning, David. How are you doing today? You okay?
I'm really good. Weather's fantastic. It's not too warm yet, but it's good. And I've just been to the doctor's for my annual checkup and everything's fine.
Oh, there we are then. That's always good. That's always good news to hear. So, yeah, brilliant. So I mentioned already that you're a business coach, business advisor, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Before I go into a bit more detail about that, though, the first place I usually like to start with people is about lockdown, how it's been for them. And
Yep.
Also if there's been any particular pivoting that you've done during that time. So how's it been for you?
Lockdown's been tough from an earnings point of view. Luckily, I have got some consultancy work which has carried on until 1st of July, which helped, kept me through. That was an engineering consultancy because as well as doing all the coaching stuff, I actually am a consultant engineer. And we'll get into that later. But yeah, it's been tough. And what I've been doing, though, is using that time to really understand how to leverage LinkedIn and how to build my awareness or people's awareness of me and my credibility for them on LinkedIn by posting very regularly. I think I started off at 3 times a week, and now I'm up to 5 times a week. And Mike, we can have a chat about this later or expand on this. But I firmly believe that there are options for people to build relationships on LinkedIn that can lead to work. It depends on the business sector you're in as to how easy or how difficult that might be. But I think everybody has an opportunity to build connections in LinkedIn which can lead to work using all the stuff that LinkedIn has. But one of the keys to doing all that is actually, as I say, posting regularly, posting stuff that people read. If they don't read it, if they don't click see more button, you don't get a view. They're not going to comment, you're not going to get the likes, and then your LinkedIn algorithms won't kick in and you won't get your post circulated widely enough. So there's a lot of interesting things around LinkedIn. And I don't know if you've done it, but there is a thing called the SSI, which is the Social Selling Index. And a lot of people have a social selling index less than 25. If you can get up into the 70s, you're doing really well. And it shows just how well you are using LinkedIn and how well you're connecting with people on LinkedIn.
I think I'm in 85. I think I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure I see
if
something about it recently.
If you're 85, that's really good. I'm about 78 at the moment.
Yeah.
I haven't checked today, and I know one of the things I've got to do to get my score up a bit higher is to put some articles in there. So my objective this week will be to write at least one article and post it on LinkedIn because that will boost my SSI over the 80s, I would guess.
Yeah, I think I've been part of a LinkedIn pod, which we have now set up and joined together as well as part of Interbiz. But I've been part of a LinkedIn pod for about 6 weeks, I think, and I've been posting pretty much every day. Sometimes I'm posting twice a day, and sometimes more than twice a day. But quite a lot of my posts in the last 6 weeks have gone to 500 views plus, which I think keeps adding on to that score. The more viral posts you get, and the more regular you post. I think, like you say, at least once a day is a good thing on LinkedIn. Doing one a day is good because you're just keeping regular and consistent.
Yeah.
But I think actually LinkedIn, you can do 2 or 3 as well quite easily because, you could do one morning, one middle of the day, and one in the evening, and that's still not, that heavy. I think that's still quite nicely spread. But it all depends what you've got to talk about and whatever, what's going on in the business. Because I'm a marketing company and I do stuff for other people as well. I've always got lots of stuff I can find content about. Yeah. Whereas if I was just marketing for myself or only my business, sometimes you can hit a wall, can't hit a ceiling or writer's block or whatever. You run out of things to say.
There are tools out there, websites out there where they'll give you ideas of what sort of plan to have. And I think again, I think the consensus is you should have a posting or a social selling strategy plan, which tells you what you're doing which day, pretty much. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you that one of the guys I follow is a guy called John Espirian, and every Friday he has a shout out to somebody in his network, and he basically that's all it is.
Yeah.
And another day he might do a book review. So
I
there's
haven't.
always things you can do.
Yeah, I don't think I've done a book review and a shout out as two of my content marketing ideas, but I did a post recently, well, probably about 3 weeks ago now, with 80 different ideas of things that you can post about in your business to business. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 80 different things. And so, if you do one of those 80 things for 80 days, you can go back around and start them all again. So literally, you can never run out of post ideas. But lots of people say to me, I don't post regularly because I don't know what to post about. But they just need help with the prompting of what to post about.
And without mentioning any names, you'll know from the post pod at the moment that some people get very repetitive on what they're posting.
Yes, well, that's the thing. Yeah, some people can't be. They're not very creative thinking, or they're busy, or they're not putting enough time into it. So, but if you actually,
and I don't think they realize. I don't think they realize what the post is supposed to be doing as well. The post is about building relationships. Because I mean, you mentioned what you did about doing more than one post a day. The other way to build relationships on LinkedIn, of course, is to respond to other people's posts in a meaningful way, so that you actually build a connection with them. Now, within our pod, that doesn't really matter because we know everybody anyway. But if somebody else, if you're posting on somebody else's post, if you're commenting on somebody else's post, if you make that an interesting comment, I did one yesterday for a guy called Andy Foote. The post was about should a LinkedIn coach be in LinkedIn Premium to coach properly? And I basically said, well, how can a coach give really good advice to somebody about whether they should be in or not in the premium packages if they're not in them themselves to understand what you can do? Yeah. And Andy came back with a really good, really agree, David. I totally agree. I think that if you're going to be a good advisor for LinkedIn, you need to know about the premium packages so you can advise people. And if that means you charge a bit more to people, then that's what you charge a bit more. So that's the sort of interaction, one that LinkedIn likes and gets you a higher score, and two, drives up your relationship building on LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, I'm still strategizing at the moment, but I think it works. Adding a comment on your own comment counts towards one of the 10. That's what I think it does.
There's no harm in doing that. I think if you start liking your own comments and liking your own posts, people will pull you up about it. I've seen that done before now.
I do
it.
I
just like your own post?
I like
question mark, question mark, question mark.
I like it, but that's just because I think it has a difference to the algorithm. But I'm still assessing that at the moment. But I'm lucky as well that I've got 3 LinkedIn accounts. Yeah. So if I only get to 9, 9's a very worrying place. If you only get to 9, it's really frustrating. So I'm able to log into other accounts and just tip myself over into the 10. So
I know you do that.
I don't hide the fact. It's just being clever. I have 3 accounts for different purposes.
I think, but yeah, there are people I'm connected with at the moment who I'm really pleased to be connected with. If I start liking my own posts, there'll be some comments coming back.
Well, I like everyone's posts because I'm just all about engagement and upping the engagement. So for me,
I agree with that.
I like the comments and I like everyone else's comments and the responses to the comment because
I will never not like a post, certainly in our pod group. It's good. I think LinkedIn is a great place to be, to build your credibility and people's awareness of you and your brand and what you're doing.
Yeah, I think at the moment as well, it's much easier to just hit that like button, which a lot of people do, but actually it's trying to get them to do the comments because that is what really makes a big impact to the algorithm. So I think there's a bit of coaching, a bit of education needs to happen there. So
it also builds LinkedIn's awareness of you, the person, if you're starting commenting. If you're only hitting like all the time, or not even hitting like and just reading the post and not doing anything, LinkedIn don't even know you're there, really. I mean, to really build your presence on LinkedIn, you need to be commenting.
Yeah, and what, like you said, I comment on lots of people's content. I follow a lot of thought leaders and people in similar industries and stuff. Like, for example, Elena Cardone. I like Elena and I like her content. Grant Cardone, people like that. And actually, the comments where people have commented on people who are similar, like Elaine Cardone, Grant Cardone preach a lot of the same stuff I preach. They believe in the same things I do, which is why they really resonate with me, because we talk the same language, if you like. And so I know the people who are commenting on her posts are, one, people who like engagement and are likely to engage with you, but also, two, are going to be people who have similar synergy to you. If they like them, they're going to like me. So actually, I go into the comment section and I connect with new people in that in that sector, because I know they're the right sort of people for me. Yeah. And so that's why commenting on other people's posts can mean that other people in those comment sections will seek you out as somebody to connect with. So I get lots of fantastic people at the moment connecting with me because they can see I'm a good contact, because I engage and I have conversation, etc.
That's right.
And so that's the good key thing. So what you mentioned is really valid and really beneficial.
What you said is bang on, Mike. It's actually, that's how to build relationships on LinkedIn. It's actually getting into conversations with people about posts, and obviously, the more real, the more I can't. That word is, if you're really engaging with people in your comments, then you'll get really engaging comments back, and then they might even ask you to. They might invite you to join them in there, to connect. So that's
it's a great way of seeking out your tribe, if you like, your like-minded people, isn't it? You'll attract each other, and it definitely works. I'm actually getting quite a lot of podcast guests and YouTube guests from that, because they're the sort of people who, if they comment in, then they've got a voice, and if you just like and you don't comment, you haven't got a voice. So the people without a voice don't want to go on a podcast or a YouTube. But if you're actually commenting, it means you found your voice and you've got something to say. And so they're the people who make great podcast guests and great YouTube guests.
The other thing I've found, and I'm going to start doing on LinkedIn, is doing video podcasts. There is a really good lady called Sinna Linden from Denmark, I think. Might be Sweden. Apologize, Sinna, if that's wrong. But she does video podcasts, and they're brilliant. Yeah. And I think the first one she did was about three weeks ago, and since then she's got better. And they're excellent. And they're all providing value to the listener. They're not just, I mean, a typical Facebook post might be, "This is what I have for breakfast today."
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, it's more about the storytelling is really important. This is why important storytelling, and how to build significant words into your stories, which link back to your content DNA. And it's things like that, that one that I'm learning about, and two are really important if you're working on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Anyway, can we talk about coaching for a bit?
Yes. Why not? Yes, why not? So I was just going to say, so tell us a little bit about your background and what led you into the coaching, because I know quite a bit of it, but obviously for the audience.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm redoing my website at the moment, because I did some work with a guy called Nick Kemp, who I know for a while now. He teaches provocative change works, and it's Nick Kemp. I think it's nickkemp.com, and he's been helping me through deciding what I'm going to do, which is what I was talking about, David L. Davis brand, as opposed to East Kenyon Coach and Mentor. Because I'm really trying to sell myself, I'm focusing on David L. Davis as the brand rather than anything else. I still have my company. But one of the other things I've been doing is going back into my past and looking at what I've done and how I've, what my skill set is that people don't know about, which I can then leverage to get into a target market that other people can't get into. So over the past 30 years, let's say 30 years, it didn't really matter. I have developed a number of different products and processes and changed a number of different organizations. Some of them have been fantastically successful. Some have not been. One or two were failures, not because of my fault, not because of me, because of the marketing involved. when I was very junior food technologist, I actually developed an instant rice pudding. And the marketing agency came into the marketing people I was talking to, and they said, well, Mr. Marketer, why do you want an instant canned rice pudding? What's more instant than canned rice pudding? And they couldn't answer it, so we stopped the project.
Yeah.
Anyway, instant meaning you pour on boiling water, stir it, and it comes up as a rice pudding. But the technology was amazing. And I got a patent for it, but that's okay. That's way back in history. But, then since then, I've done things like, when you buy yogurts, if you buy split pot yogurts, Muller or everybody else, they have that sleeve around them to keep them in a multi-pack. Well, I was the first person to do that. Okay. I was working for Ski Yogurts, and we had a ski, what do you call it, corner pot where you have the fruit in one side and
fruit
the
pot, fruit yogurt, like a fruit yogurt.
Yeah, but they're the split pots is the word. Yeah, the split pots. And Ski developed a split pot, and we were having a chat, and I said, well, why don't we make a multi-pack? Well, how are we going to do that? I said, what KitKat do is they put them inside this sleeve. Let's try for yogurts. And that's what we did. And we were the first person, I was the first person to actually put yogurts in a sleeve like that. Yeah. What else? There's things like we brought a building board, because I went from food industry into plasterboard, which I know is crazy, but it did work. Processes are pretty much the same. If you're making biscuits, you stick them down in an oven to bake them and dry them. If you're making plasterboard, you stick it down in an oven to dry it out. Same process. Yeah. Not quite, but you know what I mean. The processes are very similar: mixing, forming, drying, packing. It didn't matter whether it's biscuits or plasterboard. And we were making a building board to sell in Germany, and it was developed in Canada, but it didn't meet the German fire test requirements. So basically, I developed a board that met the German requirements. And the best acknowledgement I got was when we launched it, apparently the competition were absolutely flabbergasted that we'd got from idea to launch so quickly through all the testing and everything else. They couldn't believe that we'd actually got the tests and the accreditation for the board so quickly. But that's another one. And then most recently, there's one I'm doing recently, I'm still working on really, which is about cell cultures. I worked with a company who wanted to develop a product that would be an alternative to animal testing for testing human cell cultures, testing drugs and or compounds, chemical compounds. You can do toxicology tests on live human cells rather than using animals. So we developed they had an idea for what it should look like, and I developed the product to make it commercial. So I took their idea and made it a commercial product. A cell culture system is where you pump the medium that the cells used to grow across the cells on a regular basis, on a continuous basis, and then you can introduce drugs and compounds to see what effect they have on the cells. So I have this creative, organizational, and product and process capability, which I want to build into my brand and what I can do for companies. So I didn't
really know so much about that, but obviously I guess when you go networking, you're more business coach general, because it's general businesses, but it sounds to me like your real value, similar to me really, my value is in the credit industry, because I was there for 10 years and was part of a fast growth tech startup business in that sector. It sounds to me like your real value is actually in that manufacturing, invention, processing sector, but obviously you don't meet so many of them networking. So you have to adapt yourself.
Hardly any of them networking.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to adapt yourself for networking, as I do, and be a generalist. But actually, when you're doing stuff on LinkedIn and you're doing stuff online and you're doing stuff global, because ultimately there won't be so many of those businesses in Wales and in the UK for you to be able to work with lots of them. There won't be as many. There'll be a few, but obviously globally there would be a lot more.
Well, actually, there are a lot of them, but they don't network.
No. It's hard.
They don't even go on. They don't even have LinkedIn accounts. Some of them don't even have LinkedIn accounts. They don't. I mean, there are. They wouldn't include the micro businesses, but there are something like 2,000 businesses which employ less than 50 people. Who are in that sort of sector, and it's in the UK. So they're definitely there. and it's a question of finding them. But then that's what target marketing is all about.
Yeah.
Which is what I teach, and one of the reasons I'm doing all this is because I teach. You must have a target market. You must differentiate yourself. You must have a clear offering to the customer. You must make that offering sort of irresistible. You have your call to actions. You have your social proof. You have a really good heading for any advertising, any marketing piece you're doing. And I've missed something. It'll come to me in a minute, but it doesn't matter anyway. But there's one other
Call to actions.
I've got calls to action in there. It was something about, there's something else in there, but it doesn't matter. Those are the important ones. And you do have to do them all, though. There's no point just doing one or two of them, and they're all linked to a certain extent. So if you have a target market, we were just discussing, if you know what your differentiation is, that helps you find your target market.
Yeah.
So that's and they're linked, and then you create an offering which is linked to your differentiation and your target market. So trying to do one without any of the others doesn't really work.
That's what I find a bit annoying with the LinkedIn posts is you can't make them have a header or bold or anything.
No.
And
I started putting headers in. What I do now is try and make sure the first 2 or 3 lines, which is above the header, above the see more, is going to grab somebody's attention, so they click the see more. So the last thing you should do, and I've done it a few times myself, is put a header and a space.
Yeah.
You've just missed a line to try and grab their attention.
Of information to grab them, So anyway, so you've covered actually in explaining what you're doing for your business. You've actually covered quite a lot of what you can do for other people, helping them with a lot of that, implementation of better marketing, target marketing, and all of that sort of thing. Is there anything more you want to add on that, on how you help people?
We were talking about how to help people. I mean, one of the good things that I find, one of the reasons I'm working with the Health Hub Academy, is that I do have a lot of background in food and nutrition and fitness, and I've always been really keen on understanding the different diets. We called up the Atkins diet, the Montignac diet, the ketogenic diet. There used to be one called the Library diet, which was basically a ketogenic diet. The low carb diet, the high fat diet. To be honest, I have counted calories at one stage, but I found that was so disheartening, because you thought you'd only had 1,200 calories every day all week, and you haven't lost any weight, and that's because your body adapts. I mean, for me, calorie counting has never been the way for me to lose weight. And
to me, it's always about exercise. You got to sweat. That's the only way to get rid of fat, is to make it cry.
Good question. That's a good comment. Yeah. Not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. Certainly. The other thing, of course, it's different for different people. And I went on a fasting diet, the fast diet, which is the 5-2 fasting diet, and that worked for a while, and then stopped working because my metabolism changed to cope with the fact that I'm only eating 3 days a week, 5 days a week instead of 7, and things like this. So yeah, it's or the 4-3 diet, I can't remember what it was. There's different ones, but I can use all that and talk to Sue about it and everything else, and we bring that into the.
You have common ground and common knowledge, which means that is easier.
And then I can give them business advice, and the idea is I give the business advice we just talked about. What is your target market? Should you be targeting women over 55? There is a lady in there who basically talks to women over 55 because that's what she is, and she thinks that there's a market for that, and she's probably right. But it's better than trying to sell to everybody. And other people are doing. There's another lady who does aesthetic skin changes, aesthetic cosmetic surgery type things. Although it's not surgery, it's less aggressive than surgery. But again, so it's all sorts of people in the Health Hub Academy, which I can work with on a small basis. But again, the important thing there is I'll probably do it one to many, because they are micro businesses, and what I'm going to do is produce videos where they can learn stuff that's really helpful to them, without it costing them a lot of money.
Yeah.
because they won't have the money. So that's another target market for me. We talked about the other target markets, the manufacturing one, but there is a smaller micro business target market where I can do one-to-many type selling programs.
Yeah, have you thought about yet? I don't know if you have or not, but it's blaringly obvious to me that the Health Hub Academy and the Your Holistic Academy should partner up.
The Holistic Academy, is that the one from Dublin, run by
John. Yeah.
John Donnelly, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
we've talked about
they're doing similar things in a different way to different audiences, so they can basically both double up by putting their information in different places.
John and I have had a quick chat about it. I need to introduce Sue because again, the Health Academy is Sue's. We can't do anything without Sue's agreement, which is fine. That isn't a problem in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, I need to get John and Sue to partner up and have a chat.
Because I've been needing to get Sue on my podcast, and I was going to suggest it to her. But ultimately, John and the Holistic Academy is offering collaboration and video content and stuff, and Sue's is more. There's video on their pictures and that, but it's more text content and advice and stuff. So Sue can double up her reach, if you like, by putting her content into the Your Holistic Academy. And maybe white labeling it or something, so that they can sell membership, but they're making a commission, and Sue's getting the 85% or whatever, and the Holistic Academy's making the 50%. But there's two portals to get it, if you like, and again the content of the Your Holistic Academy and the videos and the coaching, etc., could all go into a section within the Health Hub Club. That's how I sort of see the partnership working.
Yep. I need to talk to Sue about it, but there's so much going on at the moment. It's quite tough, and I don't know if you know, but I'm also now working with Matt Saltis on the Prove It ketones product, which I find amazing. They're really good. I lost 8 pounds in 2 weeks just taking half a sachet a day, and not really changing much else. I still eat a fairly balanced diet. Still include things like chocolate and a bit of bread, some bread. So it's not a ketogenic diet that I'm following. It's a normal diet, but I'm just taking the ketones to help burn the fat.
Yeah, I did. I put it in the chat one time that I was interested in finding out some more from Matt on that, but you must not have seen it in the chat, So
it's really good.
Because I'm interested in not just.
But the way to get into it is that we sell people are interested about 5 sachets for £40 because it isn't a cheap product to start with. It gets cheaper the more you get into it, the cheaper it gets. But actually, I think that's good because if you've put £40 into doing something, you're going to do it. You're going to concentrate on it. You're going to give it some effort. You're going to make sure that it works as well as it's going to work for you. You're not going to go stupid and go on an alcoholic binge in the middle of doing the 5 sachets sort of thing. No, because it's going to ruin everything. But
I'm interested in potentially building a team in that as well, Lucy. So I will get around to contacting Matt, or if I want to do it through you or whatever. But I think it's a good product to build a team around that.
Okay, I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. Okie dokie. All right.
How are you doing for time? Do you want to carry on, or do you want to stop?
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I think actually, we've covered quite a lot of what you do anyway, coaching, and we covered, a lot of the LinkedIn and all of that sort of stuff. So, what I was going to say, what products or services have you got at the moment that you're promoting? But I guess you're still working on some of them, are you?
I'm still working on them. I know I've always got the one-to-one stuff from the core asset, which is basically I can provide anybody with a free, what we call scientific marketing makeover. So if they provide me with a piece of marketing, it could be a web page, it could be a flyer, it could be a newsletter, it could be an email. I will go through it and I'll explain how they can improve it. Okay. And I'm not trying to sound cocky or whatever, super confident there. It is always the case. I can go through my own and improve them as well. It's not. I mentioned all the content.
Everyone can always be improved.
I mentioned all the different sections you need to get in there.
Yeah.
And some of them are more obvious than others. I mean, things like not having a call for action. If somebody's not got a call for action, anything they do, they're stupid. I apologize for saying stupid, but they are, because
or busy.
what are you
I
doing
like to say busy. They're just busy, but it's like
why are you doing it if you're not going to get somebody to do something from it?
Yeah, exactly. But they're task orientated, and they're more thinking about getting the task done than actually what the task is trying to achieve.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah, like I actually, people ask me sometimes, check out my website, tell me what's wrong with it. They'll tell me, have a look at my SEO, tell me what's wrong with it. I can tell them what's wrong with it now without having a look at it, because it's the same mistakes. Everyone makes the same mistakes. You know what I mean? The 90% of people make exactly the same mistakes. The 10% who don't make the mistakes, they aren't asking you to have a look at their website or have a look at their content, because what they're doing works. So I know, just by the fact that they're asking you, is I know the mistakes they made. And so I say to them, listen, I can consult my crystal ball and I'll tell you what mistakes you made, because it's the same mistakes everyone makes.
That's right. Yeah. And it always amazes me when people don't have a call for action in there. And I don't know if I won't mention names because it could embarrass people, but there was a cleaning company that I knew quite well. I knew both the lady and her husband, in this case, who worked in the cleaning company. And they were having a chat, and we were saying, oh, maybe I can help. And I think, okay, right now. I do have a book out there, by the way, which you can't buy on Amazon. I have all the copies in my back office. But I gave the lady a copy of the book.
Yeah.
So look, so I went to look at her website, and there was no call for action on the website. There were contact details. There was all what they did, but there was no offer, and there was no call for action.
No.
So.
Yeah, well, I'm amazed. Sometimes you see websites, there's no email address. There's only one of those contact forms, or there's no phone number.
Yeah.
It's like,
and that was the other thing I meant to say.
Difficult?
Yeah, making sure you've got the right contacts. And actually putting the contacts in twice. Having an email and a phone number is important, because some people will prefer the phone, some people prefer to email.
Yeah, and I hate filling in those forms. So sometimes that's all you've got. That's the only option of getting in touch with you. I've actually sometimes tried to get hold of somebody because I want to do some business with them, and not being able to get hold of someone.
But then put their phone number in there. Yeah.
It's like business is hard enough to generate anyway. Why do you want to put hurdles in the way?
No, I've had that as well, and I don't understand it. They insist that you actually send it. You can make contact through their email, so they can. I think they can screen people or whatever. They don't give any confidential information away or whatever. I'm not sure what it is, but it is crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's just people sometimes they're busy, and so they're like, oh well, I don't want to take any calls. But it's like, well, why would you not want to take customer calls, business, because ultimately everyone's in business to make money and to get customers and stuff,
Because of my background with the trading business, I used to be involved in that, and I don't do any trading at the moment. I did for a while. I often get calls from people wanting to send me trading stuff. I just say no, thank you, and put the phone down. So if you get a call you don't want, you say no, thank you, and put the phone down. It's dead easy.
Exactly. I think because we live in a very commercial world and it's very competitive, and there's a lot of phone calls and stuff. People do worry that they're going to get contacted too much. But like you say, all you got to do is learn how to say no. It's not difficult, and I quite like taking sales calls as well. A lot of people don't, but everyone who contacts me is an opportunity for someone you can sell to. So rather than have to go and find customers, rather they're finding you.
In your case, that's right. Yeah. The other thing I often do is I often assess their techniques in selling as well.
Yeah, I do that as well. I'll actually give free advice a lot of the time, especially if they're in India as well, because they just got a shocking approach. They're just not very good to people from India. They're just so far behind the curve with experience and technique as what you're used to in the UK.
Yeah.
So I'm always giving them advice. In fact, it's a market I'm trying to break into. I want to get into India and teach them how to sell properly.
Have you got any contacts out there?
I'm just starting to create a few now because I get a few people on my podcast and stuff, but I'm looking for more. I'm looking to break into that sector somehow, to potentially coach sales and marketing via Zoom, but also get out there and do some seminars or whatever to do something. I'm just trying to work my way into that sector and understand it a bit. So if you know anyone or anywhere that can help me, then that'd be great.
I have one contact who I haven't seen for ages. 18 years, no, 17, 16 years, something like that. And he's my contact on LinkedIn. I'll see if he's interested in doing something. I'll message him on LinkedIn. I'm not sure I've got his phone number, but it might be on LinkedIn. But yeah, I'll do that. Make a note.
Because I get contacted constantly, right? Because I got 5 websites. I get contacted constantly by people selling me SEO and digital marketing services, and every one of them sells exactly the same way, which is badly. They basically just tell you that they do 5 things and that's it, and they contact you constantly, and then they send you an email and then they barrage you like, I haven't heard a response, and I'm like, well, that's because you're like one of a billion people that have sent me the same email. I can't reply to them all. You know what I mean? Send me something different and I might look at it.
One of the other things you should not do on LinkedIn, never do, is ask to connect, and the first message after you've connected is
sell. Yeah. I
actually unliked, or it is not called unliked in LinkedIn. Disconnected. I disconnected with somebody on LinkedIn because they did that. But more than they did that, the message they sent meant they obviously hadn't read my profile.
Yeah. That annoys me when they don't even read your profile. It's just black. Play by numbers.
Who in your company is the best person to talk about this? I said, me.
And the
you
guy
don't understand that.
And the guy who's the name of the company is me, like, you know what I mean? You should at least know that, like, you know.
If you've read the profile, you know, yeah. So I just disconnected with him.
I always say to those people who come in straight with a sell, I say, what, no drinks and a date first?
Then another funny one was somebody was asked me to connect, and the name was Distinctive Domains.
Yeah.
I said, dear Distinctive, or is it Mr. Domains?
Hey, tell you what I like on that sort of thing, right? Yeah. You know, like when people have got a name, but then they give you the domain name and it says something different. Yeah. So there was a well-known one, which was Susan Boyle's album launch party or something. And it said something like the domain name was Susan Boyle Anal Bum Party. And I seen one the other day. There was something similar on the other day. It's like you know, because your brain's picking up words. Sometimes there's other words in the domain, and you may be better off changing the words slightly because people are getting a completely different impression of the website.
Yes, that's right. The way it's written, can be misinterpreted.
Yes, yeah. I seen one the other day which I laughed at, and I thought they're obviously not aware of this. Like, you know, they're just not seen it. You know, but. Yeah, it's funny. Those things are definitely things you should try to avoid, I think. But, you know,
get someone to proofread it.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to leave you to it because I got something else I got to do, as you know. So I'm just going to say thank you very much for coming on the podcast and sharing the information. And how do people get in touch with you, David, if they want to get in touch with you? Other than LinkedIn.
Well, my email address is david@eastkennin.com. Eastkennin is spelled ISCENNEN, and that's probably the best way.
Yeah. Okay.
My phone number is 07983500848.
Yeah. Okay. Or they can find you on David L. Davis on LinkedIn. And just
David L. Davis, business growth expert. Just don't pitch you
straight away. Just get to know you a bit.
Don't forget the business growth expert bit.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right then.
Cheers, Mike. All right. Good to speak to you.
Have a good day, David. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
There's nothing else left for me to say other than have a great day. I know I will. And thanks very much for listening. Cheers. Bye-bye.